Welcome back. So let's bring you up to speed. Talking about the elections in Kogi and Bayelsa State, what's happening in around some of the areas that we are covering. Let's go straight now to Kogi.
Yes, Maron, how about what are you talking about? No, they should go. No, they will move to material from here. I mean, not Papa Luka, you know, you are wrong. Come on, where is that guy?
Okay, so what you're seeing there is an incident in Odu Ogboyaga Ward in Dekina local government area of Kogi State, where some suspected thugs were seen at about 9 a.m. storming the polling unit where the PDP governorship candidate Musa Wada arrived to cast his vote.
We are here at Odugbeaga, where the PDP governorship candidate is supposed to cast his election ballot. He got here to the venue to just see how preparations were going on, checking out if everybody was set for the election process. Of course, a few minutes later, people who suspected to be thugs attempted invading the voting area here to disrupt the gathering of voters, to also, in the process, displace them from even voting here today. Well, the situation is calm now because in their attempt to come in, they were repelled by the police officers and the voters here who didn't allow them gain access into the voting area. But for now, calm has been restored and the voters say they will not be deterred by this action. From Odu here in the Kina local government area of Kogi State, Pius Angbo, reporting for Channels Television News.
Thank you, Pius, there. You know, we were just talking about, thank goodness we've not,
Well,
but
thankfully nobody was
harmed, and it was neutralized after the combined efforts of the police and the youth in the area. So
all is well that ends well.
Okay, so we hope that we won't have to see, any more of that. But of course, our correspondents are on ground to bring us up to speed as to what is happening all around, both states. Back in the studio, we're going to be talking about activities that are in top gear to celebrate young people between the ages of 18 and 31 who have made outstanding achievements in the year. I'm talking about the 14th edition of the Future Awards Africa. Over the years, the Future Awards Africa has produced 250 winners and 1,497 nominees across Africa. This morning, we have with us a lady and gentleman in the studio. So let me start with the lady. Bukunyi Olateru Olagbegi, she's the chairman, Central Working Committee, the Future Awards Africa. Okay.
Okay, so I'm actually just
Thank you
honored.
for coming. And of course, we also have the nominees and, in different categories. We have Ken.
You are a nominee, right?
Yes, I am a nominee.
Oh, okay. Just when I was thinking, you're in charge. It's okay, it's okay. So you are Adeshola.
Yes,
Adeshola.
Unuigbe.
Okay, so what's the combination?
Yes, it's a mixture of Yoruba and Edo.
Okay, yes. So yeah, the Future Awards Africa Prize for Professional Service.
Yes.
And of course we have Ken Wadiobu.
Yes.
The Future Awards Africa Prize for Arts and Visual and Applied.
Yes.
Okay. So you are the Bukuyi. Did I get this right? I was thinking Bukuyi. It's a lady's name, you know. Olatero Olagbegi, thank you so much. The Chairman,
Prince.
Central Working Committee, the Future Awards.
Prince.
Prince. Okay. We should switch it. Good to have you all here. Good to have you all
Thank you for
here.
having us.
Okay, so it's the 14th edition, and what's new? What's new?
After 14 years, there isn't anything new. It's just basically celebrating young Nigerians across the country who are doing specifically well in their various industries. After 14 years, is seeing it gets better. So I guess that's new. It gets better because the country gets more challenging, unfortunately. But we still have young people who, despite and in spite the challenges, are pulling their weight. They're bending their backs. They're putting in that work to make a difference. And that's why we're celebrating them after 14 years.
Okay. Take us through the nomination process. How does it work?
It's a very rigorous process. Sometimes we don't get any sleep. We throw it out to the open nationwide for people to send in their nominations, for people who they recognize are doing well. And after that, the Central Working Committee that I chair, we sit together and then we collate, and then we look through tens of thousands of nominations that come in and pick a select few per category.
Can one nominate oneself?
Oh, yes, you can.
Oh, okay.
You can nominate yourself, but we will still verify the information. We go as far as checking your birth certificates because we're looking for young people. We speak to your clients, speak to your customers, make surprise visits at your office, and we do rigorous research into finding if all that has been sent in is true. Then
I'm sure that on occasions you have found that not everything that was said was true.
Oh, yes, of course, severally. Sometimes we even find people who are much older who still want to be nominated.
The future. Oh.
So after that process, we collate, we shortlist it into three people per category. Then we send it to the independent audit committee, who then look through again, and then they send to the judges who pick a winner. But it's important to note that everybody is a winner. So far that you are nominated, you are a light of this country, you are a beacon of hope for Nigeria. It's not just about winning. As a nominee, you're already a winner. We like to call the nominees and even the winners something we call Nigeria's New Tribe. These are the group of young people.
Nigeria's New Tribe.
Yes, Nigeria's New Tribe. This is a tribe of young Nigerians, irrespective of where they are from, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their religious backgrounds, who we believe are going to put hands together to move Nigeria or to help Nigeria achieve its full potential. Yes.
So it's a rigorous process, and you look out for excellence, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so what excellence, have you found, for instance, in Ken and Adeshola that is here?
Ken is nominated for arts, I think, and then she's nominated for professional service. In their various fields, they must have demonstrated excellence.
Now let's talk. Let's face them and talk to them. Now, you were nominated for visual and
Applied arts.
Now, what exactly did your work encompass?
Okay, so I think the first interesting thing about being a visual and applied artist and being young is that you have an idea of how did you eventually become a visual artist, probably maybe a successful visual artist in the country where art is not really appreciated, right? So that's the first thing that comes. And then how do you make it so lucrative that you can stand on your own? And then, I studied civil engineering from the University of Lagos. So how do you leave civil engineering? And it's not as if I failed. How do you leave civil engineering and start doing art?
Why?
So, yeah, because, I've always been a very strong, I've always been passionate about things that I love, right? So I used to draw, but basically jokingly cartoons until I saw someone join a human being at first. So I started drawing human beings, but I started trying to speak about the society because that's what affected me. I was very curious. My mom used to tell me about what's happening in the news and this and that. So I started trying to incorporate all these things into my art. And, you know, people started listening. And that was the breaking point for me, you know, because I always wanted to speak out. I always wanted to say something. So art for me was that point, was that way I could, you know, get to the public and, you know, make my statements heard. And, you know, it's weird that everyone in the world wants to hear you what you want to say. So eventually, 6, 7 years later, I'm here and, you know, I'm making statements and I'm speaking. So it wasn't because there was a pre-organized platform for young people to be artists. It's just because I was very relentless and passionate in what I did. And I always wanted to speak about what's happening in Nigeria and what's going
Through
on.
your
And
art.
yet through my art, and also to, you know, push that black presence, because you hardly find that black presence outside in museums around the world. And that was the aim, you know, how do you get that Nigerian presence out there and still be called Nigerian? That was the plan. So my aim throughout my career was to push out, to try and get the society, trying to speak, trying to get people understanding my works. And, you know, yeah, so it's been very, very interesting, and, you know, it captures a lot of people.
So in a few years' time, we should expect to see Ken Wadio being auctioned at Christie's, for instance.
Definitely.
We'll all be finding ourselves. It's a Nigerian. Our heads will be almost bursting, right? That's the aim.
Yeah, that's the aim. Bigger aims there.
Right on.
Additional editorials and, you know, online. Tell me about your profession.
Okay, so I'm the editor, I'm the head of content for Bella Naija, and it's a leading online media platform. I love that. Oh, because it's like, yeah, I know you. So
Well,
yes.
if it's Bella Naija, yes, we know Bella Naija.
So I'm the head of content for Bella Naija, and I've worked there for 5 years. I actually started my career just 7 years ago. I'm 28, and basically what I do is ensuring that the best type of content is shared on our platform. One of the things that we're really big on is celebrating Africa, celebrating Nigerians, and celebrating them to the world. And so even stories like Ken's story, you know, we feature things like that to just show people that there is beauty, there's talent, there's so much positivity in this Nigeria and Africa that everybody else wants to sort of run away from and everything, and trying to encourage people that we can show the best of ourselves to the world. And for me, so it's great for me to be recognized, because even though I'm not an entrepreneur and I'm not trying to be, it's great to be recognized by the Future Awards for professional service, because it's like us 9 to 5 guys, we can still also, we can also get some accolades. So yeah, we can also get some accolades and stuff like that. So for me, it shows that no matter what you're doing, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a 9 to 5, the world is watching you. You have to be diligent about what you're doing. You have to be hardworking, and you know, yeah, so your time will come and then people would see what you're doing.
So,
And if it's any encouragement to you, Ben and Wong is known all over the world.
Yes.
And there are a few other smaller artists that are pretty well known in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a small group of people who appreciate the arts,
Yeah.
but those who do really do, and they're really passionate about it.
Yeah, I showed at the previously concluded Artex Vegas. Yeah, and I had my solo show London, where loads of Nigerians traveled for it. Yeah, so yes, I definitely know that, you know, there is a growing art community now, which is amazing. People are now paying attention to young artists, like what are they up to? Because before, you literally see that, you know, before they felt, you know, before you can be an artist, you have to go through this rigorous age bracket, right? And, you know, you have to be experienced to an extent, right? But now, you know, the you know, people are growing and people are understanding and people are getting smarter and people want to speak, right? And the art world knows it now in Lagos and all over Nigeria, and they are paying attention to it. And that's the beauty of it. And, you know, as years go on, you know, they're going to keep paying attention and paying attention. And eventually you have these young artists telling their mom, I want to be an artist, because I couldn't tell my parents I wanted to be an artist. I said, I want to do art. But my mom is like, nah, I'll finish civil engineering first. But that's the passion, and that's where we're going. That's where we're going for.
Okay, so let's quickly, because this conversation is going to come to an end very soon. Bukunyi, let's talk about how indeed the minds of young Nigerians can be transformed. Whether you like it or not, there are still some youths that, you know, they don't seem to be focused in what they do. They may have the passion yet, but they don't know how to transform that energy into the excellence that you're looking for. How do we get around that?
Corley, it's interesting you asked that, because I think, first of all, they need to see light. We recognize that there are challenges in Nigeria and it's tough to get by. But listen to their stories. I haven't engaged them individually before, but even just listening, even while on the program, I've been inspired by myself. So we need to highlight these stories. And I'm not saying downplay the bad, but you see, the Future Awards, what we do every year is we pick the challenges that the country, or whatever country we are in, is going through at that particular point in time. This year is about police brutality, about rape, about insecurity, unemployment. These are the regular stories. But this year we have started something called Stay With Me. It's a Stay With Me campaign. We are embodying Nigeria as a whole, and we are pleading to the other people across the country who have mentally checked out, physically checked out, who have given up hope. Stay with us, put hands on board, and let's help Nigeria grow. So you see these guys, who their stories are inspiring to even me, who I see hundreds of them daily. We need to project them to the rest of Nigeria. We need to project them, not the young, the old, the middle age. They need to see that if these people can do it in Nigeria, then I can do it myself.
That's the story.
It's
Okay, so
very exciting for you, you know, going through all the entries that come in.
Yes, it is.
You see all kinds of experiences and go through all kinds of work. Now, how many other nominees do you have for this year?
This year we have way over 100 nominees for all the categories.
How many categories are there?
There's about 30 categories this year.
Okay.
And what is interesting is in every year we have different categories. And there's some categories that don't make it to the next year because we see that in that industry, the pattern has dropped. So that helps us to recognize that in this field, the people who are playing in this field have some certain challenges. And as a Future Awards, what we do is try and set up mentorship programs for people in that category to help them grow.
Okay, so this is going down where and when?
On the 24th of November, that's on Sunday, this coming Sunday.
Okay.
Next week,
So
Sunday.
the nominees, their family members.
Not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow. I had to
The
make that
nominees, you know, their family members, and of course your invited guests. You know, you want them to converge.
Yes, at the Bamora Hall, Federal Palace.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on. Bukunyi Olatero Olagbegi is the chairman, Central Working Committee, the Future Award Africa. And of course, we have the nominees in the house, Ken Wadiogbu, who is 25 years and doing great. You know, he's the Future Awards Africa Prize for Arts, and Adeshola Ade Unuigbe, who is the Future Awards Africa Prize for Professional Service. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
So Sunrise will be back with the home stretch. Just stay with us.